Welcome to the session on conduction heat transfer. Myself Subramanian, Assistant Professor from Department of Mechanical Engineering, Bandaraman Institute of Technology. The general objective of this session is, after this session, students are able to analyze the one-dimensional steady-state heat transfer mechanism on composite plane valves. We have three specific objectives of this session. The first specific objective is, after this session, students are able to illustrate the one-dimensional steady-state heat transfer mechanism on composite plane valve. Students are able to compute the one-dimensional steady-state conduction heat transfer rate on composite plane valves, and they are able to compare the one-dimensional steady-state heat transfer rate on composite plane valves. For this session, we have three prerequisite knowledge. First one is about students must have some idea about law of energy conversion, where energy can either be created or destroyed. We can just transform the energy from one form to another form. And second one is about students must know the difference between the temperature and heat. Third one is about students must know the basic conduction heat transfer. So by seeing this image itself, you can understand that this is our topic, and we are going to discuss about how the one-dimensional steady-state heat transfer is taking place in these composite plane valves. In previous class, we are discussing about one-dimensional steady-state heat transfer in a single plane valve. We don't have any composite there, but in this case we have six material, right? So in today's class we are going to discuss about how can we find out the heat transfer rate in this composite plane valve, because since each and every material is having different thermal conductivity. For example, if heat is transferred in this surface, finally we are having, you see, so conduction is taking place in this surface, similarly conduction is happening here. So finally heat is rejected here. So heat is supplied here and heat is rejected here. So today class we are going to find out how much amount of heat is transferred from this surface to this surface, and how the temperature distribution is happening all over these surfaces. So in previous class already we have discussed about this Fourier's law of heat conduction, where the great legend Fourier, he had suggested an equation which is called Fourier law of heat conduction. So already you see here heat is supplied here, and we want to reject the same heat here. So if you are assuming this as a homogeneous material, I'm not talking about a composite, let us assume this is a homogeneous material where the thermal conductivity is uniform all over the direction. So if K is constant, K is not varying, K is constant, thermal conductivity, watt per meter Kelvin, this is constant, means we can easily use this equation, Fourier law of heat conduction, minus Ka dt by dx, where K is nothing but thermal conductivity, where A is nothing but the cross section area, and dt is nothing but temperature difference, T1 minus T2. So we can easily use this equation and we can find the value of heat conduction through the valve. Since we are having a new concept which is called thermal resistance, similar to our electric resistance, we have Ohm's law, right? So if we know that V equal to IR, the amount of current which is flowing through the conductor is depend on this electrical resistance. Similar to that concept, we have thermal resistance here. So whatever the amount of energy we want to transfer the same. For example, you want to transfer the amount of heat from this surface to this surface, that is called Q, amount of heat conduction through this valve. It is inversely proportional to this thermal resistance. So you should be very careful about this thermal resistance, because if your thermal resistance is very high, then obviously your heat transfer rate through this one-dimensional steady-state valve is very less. RTH. What is RTH? What is this thermal resistance? It's very simple. If you are having only conduction, then the RTH is very simple. It is L by Ka. We all know that the L is nothing but length of the material, and K is nothing but thermal conductivity of the material. A is nothing but cross section area. Now we can understand the thing that the thermal resistance is directly proportional to the length. If the material is having more length, which means the thermal resistance is very large, so the heat transfer rate is very less. And you see here, the thermal resistance is inversely proportional to K thermal conductivity, which means if your material is, let us assume your material is having high thermal conductivity, so which means the resistance is very less, so that we can transfer more amount of heat. So the heat transfer is directly proportional to the thermal conductivity. Your thermal resistances are inversely proportional to this thermal conductivity. So your heat transfer rate is directly proportional to this thermal conductivity, and your thermal resistance is inversely proportional to this thermal conductivity. Similar to this thermal conductivity, the cross section area of your material is directly proportional to your heat transfer rate and inversely proportional to your thermal resistance. So it's very simple. If you want to discuss about this conduction, L by Ka is the thermal resistance. For example, let us assume you have a convection heat transfer in your application. Some cases we want to find out this thermal resistance for the application of convection. Again, it's very simple. We can go with this thermal resistance formula, which is available in your data book. No need to memorize this formula. Everything is available in your data book. So from this HMT data book, we can take the formula as 1 by HA, where H is nothing but convective heat transfer coefficient. The unit is watt per meter square Kelvin. Please be careful with this unit. The unit of thermal conductivity is watt per meter Kelvin. The unit of heat transfer coefficient is watt per meter square Kelvin. So now we are able to find out what is the one-dimensional steady-state heat transfer rate across this plane wall. It is a homogeneous material. Till now we are not discussing about this composite material. We are discussing about only the homogeneous material where the thermal conductivity K is constant. So if you are having only conduction, we can use this equation RTH, which is nothing but L by Ka. If you have convection, you can go for RTH as 1 by HA. So now we are discussing about how can we find out the one-dimensional steady-state heat transfer rate across this plane wall, homogeneous plane wall, not composite. See here, the temperature is T1 here. One surface, the temperature is maximum. Let us assume this is at 100 degrees Celsius. And you see here the temperature is very minimum. Let us assume this is at ambient temperature, 30 degrees Celsius. Now you see, we know the concept of heat transfer. Heat always flow from high temperature to low temperature. So let us assume this is a homogeneous material where the K is constant. Approximately, let us assume it is 100 watt per meter Kelvin. So we are able to see that there is a slope. We are getting a slope, right? So this slope is given by Fourier law of heat conduction. He said that the amount of energy which is absorbed by this material to the adjacent material is gradually decreasing. So this forms a negative slope. That is why we having this minus sign, right? Hope you can remember this thing. This is Fourier law of heat conduction. You see, this minus indicates that this negative slope. We are getting negative slope. We are not getting a horizontal line here. We are not getting a positive slope. We are getting a negative slope. This is what Fourier suggested. That the reason is that due to this thermal conductivity, and to understand the concept, you have to recall this term internal energy. Each and every molecule is vibrating. So that is called internal energy. So expansion is called temperature. Average kinetic energy of molecules is called temperature. For example, if you are, let us assume we are drawing a network diagram for this. So we are converting all those things into electrical analogy. So I'm just considering this thermal resistance. This is thermal resistance. You see here we have only conduction. Already we discussed for conduction what is the thermal resistance. RTH is nothing but L by Ka, where L is nothing but length of the material, K is nothing but thermal conductivity of the material, A is nothing but cross section area. Now you see, for example, if you want to write the thermal resistance, you can draw a diagram like this, electrical analogy diagram. So you see here, so here we have L by Ka, which is nothing but thermal resistance for conductivity. So once you know this RDH, you can easily find out the value of Q. Q is nothing but del T by R or dt by R. What is dt or del T? T1 minus T2. Higher the temperature minus lower the temperature divided by RTH. See, how can you find out RTH? From here we can be able to easily find out the RTH. So here we are able to find out this RTH. RTH is nothing but L by Ka. So in this way you can easily find out the one-dimensional steady-state heat transfer rate in homogeneous plane wall. Suppose for the same application, let us assume you are having a convection. You are passing a hot air at one surface and you are passing a cold air at another surface. What will happen in this condition? Since already we are discussing about this R, right, R thermal resistance. If you have only one plane wall, you have only one conduction, directly we can go with this. RTH is nothing but L by Ka. But in this application, we are having convective heat transfer at inner the surface and convective heat transfer at outer the surface. Let us assume we are just design and we are analyzing this wall, where inside we are having the flue gas. At bottom we are just burning the coal, where we are having hot flue gases. So these gases are having some convective heat transfer coefficient, and these gases are at typical temperature. Let us assume these gases are around 700 degrees Celsius, and this H value is nothing but, let us assume it is 1000 watt per meter square Kelvin. This value is very much maximum if it is a forced convection. The value is very much minimum for free convection. We will discuss about the same in your second unit. Come to the point. Outer the wall, let us assume we have an ambient air. The temperature is typically around 30 degrees Celsius, and we have only wind, right, out of the surface. So maybe the velocity is typically around 2.5 to 5 meter per second, where the value is approximately 15 watt per meter square Kelvin, just 15. So now hope you are able to recall the previous discussion where we have only conduction. Now in this case we have conduction and two convections. So one is that front side, another thing is that back side. Very simple. We can find out this RTH. We have three thermal resistance here. One is for convection. So this air is having some convection thermal resistance, that is to be included. Second thing is for conduction. So this is 1 by HA. Second one is for conduction. This is L by Ka. And third one is for convection. Again 1 by HA. Here the H is H1, 1000 watt per meter square Kelvin. Second one, this is about length of the material, and K is nothing but thermal conductivity of the material. So this is for conduction. Third one, similar to your front convection, you have convection at your back side, where this H2 is nothing but 15 watt per meter square Kelvin. In problem they will mention these values and all. Practically we will get all these values. The only thing is you should know how to calculate the overall thermal resistance. How to calculate this overall thermal resistance is very simple. R1 plus R2 plus R3. What is R1? Here we have only convection, so 1 by HA. What is R2? We have conduction here, 1, 2, so L by Ka. What is R3? Again we have convection, 1 by HA. Since we have two convections, so I am just mentioning 1, and here I can mention 2. This is L1 by K1E1. So this is L1. You can easily find out the length, and K is nothing but thermal conductivity of the material. Now you can understand the concept, right? If you have convection heat transfer plus conduction in a homogeneous plane wall, we can easily find out the overall thermal resistance for that heat transfer mechanism. So this is how we can compute the equation for finding the thermal resistance in a typical application where we have conduction as well as convection, right? So if you know the R value, we can easily calculate the Q, right? How can you find out the value of Q? Q is nothing but del T by R, where del T is nothing but overall temperature difference. Okay, the overall temperature difference is T1 minus T4, not actually T2 minus T3. The overall temperature difference is T1 minus T4. These two things are very important. So we are just mentioning T1 minus T4, overall temperature difference. Overall higher the temperature, overall minus overall the lowest temperature. So highest temperature minus lowest temperature divided by RTH. What is RTH? So after finding this value by utilizing this concept, we can find out some value here, that is RTH. So finally we are able to find out the amount of heat transferred in this one-dimensional steady state plane wall with conduction as well as convection. Next very important topic is about composite plane wall. You see here, this is composite plane wall. We have two material. This is not homogeneous. This one is having different thermal conductivity and this one is having different thermal conductivity, and length is also getting differed. all the practical in all the practical application we having valves like this. We have only composite valves. We don't have any plain valve in different applications. Only simple applications will have this plain valves, homogeneous conduction valves. Most of the practical applications, as a thermal engineer, we need to focus on this composite plain valve. For example, you are just if you are working in an agriculture products where you are working in an agro products handling unit. Some cases you want to heat the product, or some cases you want to prevent the product from heating. So you have to go for insulation. So people always prefer this composite plain valve for effective insulation. That is our topic. We are going to discuss about how the amount of heat is transferring from one phase to another phase, and how this one dimensional steady state heat transfer is happening in composite plain valves. You see, initially the temperature of this surface is T1, very much higher, and let us assume you are passing the heat energy. So what happened? The temperature is slightly less than the T1, right? So heat is just flowing, and again the heat is just flowing to the another surface of the object. So the heat transfer is happening in the mode of conduction. Now the question is that how can I find out this value? We know that formula Q equal del T by R, overall temperature difference divided by your thermal resistance. What is overall temperature difference? It is not T2 minus T3, it is not T1 minus T2, T1 minus T3 divided by overall RTH. What is overall RTH? Now we listen carefully. We have two thermal resistance. This is RTH1 and this is RTH2, or RT1 or R1 or R2. We have two resistance. These two resistance are in series. Now we can remember the concept which we have studied in your electrical subjects or physics and all. We have studied this resistance concept. If two resistors connected in series, how the equivalent resistance has been calculated? It's very simple. R1 plus R2. If they are in parallel, 1 by R plus 1 by RT total is nothing but 1 by RT1 plus 1 by RT2. So it's very simple. These two things are in parallel series connection, not in parallel connection. It is in series connection. So easily we can find out this value. RTH is nothing but R1 plus R2. Now how to find this R1 R2? Well, we have to find out whether this is a conduction or convection. We know that inside the material the heat transfer is happening. So due to the physical contact, the heat transfer mechanism is happening because of atomic vibration. So simply we can tell this as a conduction, and this also conduction. So how to find the R value, thermal resistance for conduction? R is nothing but L by Ka. Again R is nothing but L by Ka. Since we have two material here, this is not a homogeneous material, this is a heterogeneous materials. We have two different materials, right? So this is L1, K1, L2, K2. I'm not mentioning A1, A2. The reason is that area is same. If you want, you can mention A1, A2 if you have different configuration in your area. So it's very simple. If you have a composite plain valve, if you have two materials which is located adjacent to one another, so that is called composite plain valve. And if you have one dimensional steady state heat transfer mechanism in the mode of conduction across this composite plain valve, it is very easy for us to calculate this amount of heat transfer. Q is nothing but dt by R. R is nothing but RT1 plus or R1 plus R2. What is R1? Thermal resistance in this material, A material. What is R2? Thermal resistance in this B material. Then now what is R1 in A material? It's purely conduction, so L by Ka. Now we have another resistance here. It is in series mode. What is that resistance? Again in B we are having conduction. So again a conductive resistance, L by Ka. Just add these two values, we are getting the RTH. Now we can easily calculate this value Q. Q is nothing but overall temperature difference T1 minus T3 divided by RTH. The value whatever we are getting here is the amount of heat transferred across this composite plain valve. Remember, this concept is one dimensional steady state heat conduction across the composite plain valve. In previous case study we are discussing about the homogeneous plain valve, conduction across the homogeneous plain valve, case 1. Case 2 we discussed about conduction plus convection heat transfer mechanisms in homogeneous plane wall. This is case 3. Case 3, we are discussing about composite plane walls. We have two composite plane walls. We don't have any convection here. We have only conduction. So two conduction as conductive resistance, thermal resistance are there. After sum of those values, we are getting a single thermal resistance. So we can easily calculate this value Q. This is the case 4. Remember, case 1, we have only homogeneous material. We have only one material, right? Heat is just transferring. So the temperature slope is here, T1, T2. This is case 1. At case 2, we have convection here, right? Case 3, you have composite plane wall. No convection, only conduction. So the curve is like this. Case 4, you have convection as well as conduction. So this is what we are having in all the typical practical applications, where we have composite plane walls where we have both convection as well as conduction. So first we have to identify how many heat transfer mechanisms are there, are really involved in different places. You see, the first one is convection. Convection is involved here. So obviously we have what? Convective heat transfer, thermal resistance. Second one is about, here we have conduction. So second one is about conductive thermal resistance. And third one again we have conductive resistance. Last final we have again convection. So we have 4 thermal resistance. One is about, you see here we have convection. For convection we have to go for 1 by HA. Second thing, here we have conduction. For conduction, L by Ka. Again we have material. Inside the material we are having heat transfer. So this is called conduction. Again conduction, L by Ka. Finally we have convection, 1 by HA. So we have 4 heat transfer mechanism. They are all in series, right? 1 convection, 2 conduction, 3 conduction, 4 convection. All the 3 heat transfer mechanisms are in series in connection. So thermal resistance is for finding the thermal resistance is very easy. We can draw the electrical analogy like this: R1 plus R2 series. So just sum up R4, that's all. Now tell me, how can you find out this RTH overall? Very simple: R1 plus R2 plus R3 plus R4. So we'll get the value. Now easily we can calculate this value Q. Q is nothing but dt by RTH. What is dt? Overall temperature difference, T1 T5. So T1 minus T5 divided by RTH. So easily we can get the value for one-dimensional steady-state heat transfer across composite plane walls with convection and conduction. This is the 4th case study. Next, let us assume instead of 2 we are having 3 composite plane walls. Here we don't have any convection here. We have only conduction. No convection is here. It's very easy, right? No need to go for 1 by HA, 1 by HA. We have only conduction here. So conduction 1, conduction 2, conduction 3. So thermal resistance for 1, conductive resistance, thermal conductive resistance for 2, thermal conductive resistance for R3. How can we find out this thermal conductive resistance? Very simple, L by Ka. So for R1, L by Ka. For R2, again L by Ka. R3, L by Ka. So assume that they are at different thickness or different length, and they are having different thermal conductivity. They are not homogeneous, but the cross section area is same. So easily we can find out the value of RTH. RTH is nothing but R1 plus R2 plus R3. This R1 is nothing but thermal conductive resistance on material A. R2 is nothing but thermal conductivity resistance on material B. R3 is nothing but thermal conductive resistance on material C. To find the thermal conductivity resistance of the material, The formula is very simple for R, L by Ka. So this is L1 by K1 A1, L2 by K2 A2, L3 by K3 A3. Finally, sum up all these values, we are getting this RTH. Now tell me, how can we find out this Q? Overall temperature difference, T1 minus T4 divided by RTH. Easily we can find out the amount of heat transferred via the one-dimensional steady state heat conduction across the composite plane walls with only conduction for 3 composite plane walls. Next, the final case study is about fifth case study. This is the fifth one. What is this? In this we have convection as well as conduction. We have 3 material A, material B, material C. Listen carefully. First, we have heat transfer mechanism as convection here. So we have a thermal resistance here for this heat transfer mechanism, R1. Second, we have conduction here. Remember, this is convection, okay? And second, we have a heat transfer here. This is conduction, okay? This is conduction. Again, we have another conduction. So this is R3. It is purely depend on the conduction. Again, we have another conduction. So we have a thermal resistance here. Again, it is depend on the conductivity of the material. Finally, we have one more convection, right? So this is R5. It is depend on the value of H. So first one, thermal resistance for convective heat transfer, 1 by HA, remember. So we are talking about T1 and H1. So 1 by H1A. Next, come to the point of R2. This is purely conduction. So for conduction phenomena, L by Ka, length of the material, corresponding material. If you are calculating the thermal resistance for the material A, La by Ka. Similarly, you can calculate the value of R3. Again, this is conduction. This is conduction, right? Conduction, L by Ka, conduction. Final thing is about convection, again convection. So we have 5 thermal resistance. Everything is in series. Easily we can calculate the value RTH. RTH is nothing but R1 plus R2 plus R3 plus R4 plus R5. What is R1? R1 is very simple, convection, 1 by HA, H1A. What is R2? R2, conduction, L by Ka. Material 1, right? If it is A, R1, 1. R3, conduction at B. So conduction means L by Ka. Material B means B. What is R4? Again, we have conduction, Lc by Kc. Final thing is about convection, 1 by HA. This is material, convection at 4. Simple. So after sum up all this value, finally we are getting RTH. Now tell me, how can we find out this value of amount of heat transferred across this composite plane wall? We have 3 composite plane walls. Across this we have 2 heat transfer mechanism. One is conduction, second thing is convection. So we have 2 heat transfer. Convection is there, also conduction is there. 3 conduction is there and 2 convections are there. So after finding this RTH, the heat transfer rate is very simple. T1, overall temperature difference, T1 minus T6 divided by RTH. Easily we can find out the value of amount of heat actually transferred across this composite plane wall where we have conductions as well as convection. So you can recall about the topics which are discussed in today's class. First we discussed about heat transfer mechanism in a single plane wall. Only conduction and conduction plus convection. If you have only conduction, very simple, we have only R1. What is R1? L1 by K1A. This is our first case. Only one material, which is homogeneous material, single wall heat transfer, one dimensional steady state heat transfer through single plane wall. Second one is about one dimensional steady state heat transfer in single plane wall with convection. Let us assume we have convection here. So what you will do? This is not R1, right? This is R1. R1 plus R2 plus R3. What is R1? 1 by HA. What is R3? Again 1 by HA. So this is H1, convective heat transfer of that fluid which is flowing inside the wall, and this is H3, convective heat transfer coefficient of the fluid which is flowing outside the wall. So 1 by HA, 1 by HA. You can easily calculate R1, R2, R3. Finally, we are able to calculate the amount of heat which is flowing through this composite plane wall. The amount of heat which is flowing through the single plane wall with convection and conduction. Third one is about composite plane wall. Remember, we discussed about composite plane wall. Two different material are there. Only conduction, no convection is here. So R1, R2. R1 is conduction thermal resistance for R1. R2 is conductive thermal resistance in second material, first material and second material. So RTH is nothing but R1 plus R2 because they are in series. So easily we can calculate this value RTH, and once you know this RTH, we are able to calculate this value of Q. Q is nothing but del T by R. If you have composite plane wall with convection, so this is the composite plane wall where we have convection here. So material 1, material 2, we have convection here. So how can we find the value of this composite plane wall with convection? Very simple. Assume this as R1. We have thermal resistance for convection, and R2 conductive resistance at material 1, R3 conductive heat transfer resistance for second material. Finally R4, again convective heat transfer resistance for R4. So they are in series. Just write R1 plus R2 plus R3 plus R4. After finding this value, we are able to easily find out the value of amount of heat which is transferred across this composite plane wall with conduction as well as convection. See, why we are discussing about this composite plane wall and all, and since we have some typical application, agro product drying units, dryers, and similar to that application, we have a suit for soldiers. The suit is like this. It can regulate their temperature. So we have a layer by layer of materials. They are having different thermal conductivities. Once you are able to find out the heat transfer, and if you are as much as possible, if you are able to reduce the heat is transferred through this layer by layer composite material, then the temperature which is absorbed or liberated from this soldier is reduced as much as possible. So here you should know how the mechanism is happening. At outside we having ambient air. So assume that the ambient air is just hitting this chute of the soldier where it is convection. Assume that we have 3 layers are there. 3 layers of materials are there in the chute. So within the material we have conduction R2, R3, R4, material 1, material 2, material 3, material 4. You can able to easily find out the value. RTH is nothing but R1 plus R2 plus R3 plus R4. If you have any doubt, we can discuss about the same in next class. Thank you. Thank you all. You all stay safe.